My mother was someone who can walk into a chaotic situation and always leave it calm. She radiated calm in a way. She would go, and I remember one situation in specific at a time where my sister Panina was in the hospital for migraines, and my mother was helping me plan my wedding, and my grandfather had passed away. And then when she left the hospital with Panina there, she came to the house, and it was only natural, though, that she took over, and she made all the preparations for the Levaya, and she planned the Shiva here at this house. And everyone stayed here, even though she wasn't here all the time. But it was only natural that she took over, and she radiated the calm, and she brought the calmness back in a situation that wasn't, and she was juggling everything at once. My mother was always a juggler of family, of friends, chesed, and work. She always did everything, and she always believed in doing everything to her best. Family always was very important to my mother, and it always came first in her mind.
She was always challenging children with that just right challenge, trying to move them forward, oftentimes really stretching to the limit what that child's able to do. And as a team, being able to bring the rest of the team to that point and really challenge the child in moving forward.
I was fortunate to have been able to work side by side with Suri for many years. She was a talented physical therapist, and I can only say that her hands were gifted. She was always searching for new techniques and new strategies to use with her students. If you came into the therapy room and saw a child being flipped or rotated around in complex positions, you always knew Suri was behind it. She was always challenging herself, her students, her therapists. She did not believe in accepting mediocrity. At the same time, she encouraged everyone to stretch their skills, to believe in themselves, to grow in their knowledge, not by force, but just by being who she was. A great leader who combined all the best qualities of compassion, understanding, encouragement, and most of all, positive feedback.
I always remember my mother saying that chesed is not about what's convenient or what's easy for you to do for another person. Chesed is all about filling the gap that's needed, filling a void that someone else has. I remember that when my mother stepped down from her job as Bika Cholim food coordinator, it was because someone had asked her to join the Chava Kadisha, and to her, she thought that there were other people who were willing and able to take over her job in the Bika Cholim, and there were not many women who were able to do the Chava Kadisha. Another very important thing to my mother was that whenever she would do a chesed, she always made sure not to make the person feel like she was doing a chesed. She didn't want them to ever, feel like a nabach or anything. It was very important that they shouldn't feel bad. I remember on Shabbos morning, she would go to shul to ask certain people who needed a meal to make sure they had somewhere to eat. And she always used to say, whatever we're eating, they'll eat. It's never a problem. I remember during her last week, she told two of my cousins that her motto was always, just say yes, and you'll figure out how to fit the chesed into your schedule later on.
My mother was always very optimistic. Her good friend, Michal Aryeh, ran the Chai Lifeline Marathon in Herzl Chus, and my mother told her that next year they were going to run it together. She also believed that Hashem would take care of her. She always told us that there were many people in the community that were miracles, and she was going to be a miracle too. She was very optimistic and had a lot of bitachon, and that's something that will stay with me forever.
Suri was so deeply involved in Bikur Cholim that even during her entire illness, she was helping to take care of people. Whenever she was in the hospital, she was going around and speaking to people whenever she could. She would call people over the phone to help them through their difficulties. And Suri, who's been involved in all kinds of chesed for as long as I've known her, and I know many people in the community have known her so much longer, know that her essence was giving and giving and giving and giving, and part of her giving was getting other people involved so that they would give. She was just such a beautiful person, and she is so sorely missed.
15 years ago, my husband and I moved here from Boston, at which time the Chevra Kadisha of Raritan Valley was inactive. Suri, being a close friend of our daughter-in-law, Dalia Shefetz, knew of my involvement with Chevra Kadisha, so she asked me if I would reorganize and lead the Chevra Kadisha. Whenever I called Suri, she was always there, and she became my right hand. I instituted nothing without consulting Suri. Until the time that she was in the hospital and remained there, Suri insisted that I call her. Such was her dedication to the Chevra Kadisha. Our friendship led to our becoming family when her daughter Leah married our grandson Eli.
When I think of my mother, I think of her as being home and helping with my homework and being there for me, going in touch with the family. And I remember sometimes when I was younger asking, like, where did Yuma go? And I was told, oh, she went out to do mitzvah. And now sometimes I'm hearing how much she did for everyone else and how much she did for the community, and I'm realizing how much she did outside of my family, how much she did not for me and not in this house, but I know that even though she did all that, even though she did so much for everyone else, it didn't take away anything that she did for this family. It didn't take away from the amount of attention she gave to me and my family. And even though she played many different roles to many different people, she only played one role for me. She was my mother.
There's an old saying that when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Suri could not live by that rule. She do everything well at the same time and get everything accomplished perfectly. You know, even in the last couple of years of her life, she had the whole family there, and she would, you know, spend some time for each person individually, give her full attention, and her last opportunity to tell them how they should, how they could improve. And as our good friend Mati says, she left us with the tools to carry on, even though she wasn't here to help us.